you want to put the people that you're surrounding yourself with in business, you want to put them in the right places. But what meditation can do, and visualization, is to help you guide you towards what you do want, rather than listening to the naysayers and all this doom and gloom out there. It really does take you within yourself. I did become top sales girl, but at the detriment of my own health. And it's like, well, actually,
that's more
it
important.
wasn't really worth it.
Yeah.
Really worth it. So, and I didn't feel fulfilled anyway after.
So, hello, we've got Lisa, Life Coach with us today, and
Hello.
I'm super so excited to have you on today, Lisa, because the podcast is called the After Hours Property Podcast, and I know that you've got a background in property, which we will go through. But I'm also really excited to talk to you about with you about the other side of things that you do, as we were just saying about meditation, the law of attraction, and everything in that remit as well, because I think that in these modern days, more in particular, more and more people are sort of meditating. They're becoming more aware of the benefits it's going to have to your health, to your mental well-being, and everything else. So I think it's really good to have you on to take a slight diversion from what's usual, but you've still got a background there, so we've got a lot to talk about.
I've still got a background in property. It was something that I always wanted to get into, and I had to take a back step to get into it. And again, I believe at the time when I got into property, which is in my 20s, only a few years ago.
Don't worry,
I didn't
it's a
have
podcast
any
people can't see.
No, true. I didn't have any background in it at all. I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any money either. I was, I came out of another business which wasn't paying very well, although I was in the travel business at the time. And when I was in the travel business, recession had hit, a bit like what's going on really now. But I didn't let that stop me from keep getting a job. But then I decided to chuck that in, and instead of being in the travel industry, which wasn't paying very well anyway and was really damaged by the recession at the time, I then I went for this interview with a property company that were in London, and I'd never experienced property ever before, although there was a great desire there. I don't know where this desire came from. It was just like, I'm fed up of having no money, even though I could travel the world and do amazing things, which I did. But, I was fed up of having no money. I thought, no, I want to invest in property. That's the way forward, to have a passive income. I guess I was quite business savvy, really. I really wanted to get on the career ladder. And was given an opportunity. But it really did fall in my lap, to be honest, Jonathan. But I believe that I attracted that, because I've attracted everything in my life, like we all do. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But
Amazing.
We are able to consciously attract the things that we are desiring and wanting, so that you experience them in your reality, and bring them to you a lot quicker than you think you can.
100%.
It's just really changing your mindset around things.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. There's a few instances that I've had actually that I'll be speaking about. Oh,
brilliant!
Yeah, it's a weird one, because it's. Do you know what? I read the. Actually, no, I didn't read it. I watched The Secret on Netflix.
Yeah.
I thought the Netflix show was a bit too cheesy for me, so I got the book, and the book was a bit different. And that, so I took it on board, and then I just gave it a go, and something pretty amazing happened. But yeah, we can get into it a bit later. So when did you? We'll go back to your journey, because obviously I know that you've been in and out of different industries.
Yeah, I have actually. I've had quite a choosing of different things.
Where did that start?
So I first started out, well, when I left school, I went straight into travel, because I'm a bit of a free spirit. So I wanted to travel, and I had so much sort of freedom that I wanted. And I was very independent. I'm an only child, so I just wanted to go and visit things and go and discover the world.
How do you, sorry, just to put in there, how do you see where you want to travel?
47.
No, not your age, I was going to say.
I thought you said, well, how old am I? Ooh, everyone knows now.
No, we'll knock 20 years off.
Well, look, 20 years off, yes.
When you were younger, how do you know where you want to go to? Because nowadays we've got social media. You know, we can see that the the amazing places in Bali, or everyone's traveling through Vietnam or anything like that. How did you know where you wanted to go, or what gave you that desire when you
Well,
were younger?
what started it off was actually I started watching a film which had this scenery of Brazil. Actually, it was Copacabana Beach, it was the Amazon, and it was a film, and it was Michael Caine was in it, and I don't know, maybe you're a bit too young for that, but it was called Blame It on Rio, and it was set in a beautiful scene, and so I kept watching this. I must have been like in my teens.
Yeah.
I was watching this film, really enjoyed the film. I just thought, oh my God, I could imagine myself being there. You know, I literally was imagining myself being there.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, when I was in the travel industry, as I said, the recession had hit really badly. So at that time, I was I was told that actually you might be losing your job. But not yet. I was working still in London.
Yeah.
So the travel industry wasn't hit so badly in London because we were able to do business travel more. Sure. But the outskirts were. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I got sent to a seminar, and this seminar had like loads of different booths where there was different countries that were trying to sell their products. In other words, their tour operators.
Oh yeah.
And one was Brazil. So I walked over to the Brazilian stand, and I met this really lovely lady. I'll never forget her name. Maristella, her name was.
Yeah.
And she said to me, "Oh, I'm director of a big, Brazilian tour company. We're looking for, to establish ourselves here in London." And I'm thinking, I was only 19 at the time. I'm thinking, okay, right. So she said, "Have you ever been to Brazil?" I said, "No." I said, "I'd love to go to Brazil." And she said, "Oh, well," and in those days, mobile phones were only just coming in. And she said, "Look, here's my card. I'm going to be in London again in a couple of weeks. I'll give you a call." So I didn't have a card at the time, but I gave her the landline of the travel agent. So anyway, I get a phone call, don't I, in 2 weeks' time, spot on, as people, she said, to her word. She said, "Do you want to meet up for lunch?" So we end up meeting up for lunch. And she says to me, "I want you to join me, and I want you to help me establish a tour operation in Brazil, in London for Brazil." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I basically manifested this. So I thought, God, I'm only bloody 19. What do I know at 19? For God's sake, what do I know at now? So anyway, cut a long story short, I ended up, going with her, and I got an opportunity to first class. I went first class on Varig Airlines, and with and I can't remember who we travelled from London to, but I think it was Varig Airlines. Yeah, Varig Airlines. Like? I think it's still around, to be honest. There was a Brazilian airline, and flew first class to Brazil, and just had the most amazing trip. Spent about a month there because I had to write up a tour which would suit the English market.
Right.
So I experienced all the things that I'd seen in this film, didn't I? Like,
that's incredible.
Thought, oh my God, I imagined myself being, on the Blame It on Rio film, and I imagined myself being there, and look where I am. I'm here. Got bitten to bits by mosquitoes, but apart from that, it was amazing. It was an amazing trip, and I got to see the indigenous people that live in the Amazon as well. I mean, that was an experience in itself. And we stayed in all different areas of Brazil. So
was you being guided around any of the rainforests at all?
Yeah, we were guided, and obviously that's very well protected, and there's a lot of indigenous people that live there. Yeah. And you weren't allowed to speak to them then. I don't know if you can now, but you weren't allowed to go, they were very separate living to how you would live normally.
Yeah, of course.
They wore no clothes, basically lived in the forest. They lived off the land. They had no problems with the government or anything like that. They were just the only problems they had was with nature, which they just fed off the land. It was amazing though.
Strange way of living.
We had amazing food because all the food that was offered to us was all, again, they looked after their animals as well. And it was just amazing. It was an amazing trip. And I ended up writing up a tour operation for them. And we ended up selling it to a travel agent who decided to sponsor us. And so that was that done, kind of thing. And then I had this desire, like I said, and then I got a desire to go into the property business, and it fell into my lap. And I just thought, right, I've done what I've always wanted to do, which was go to Brazil. But I'm fed up. I still didn't get paid very well, but I still went first class and I did all that, and it was lovely. But I thought, if I'm going to have a future, where I'm going to be able to establish myself and have a nice home. You know, I'm a Libra, love luxury, love lovely things.
You're going to have to
Who
talk
doesn't?
about that. I don't know anything about the
Yeah,
star
but I'm
signs.
spiritual as well, you know, really,
Yeah.
really in touch with my inner being, and also very sensitive, and also really, really intuitive.
Sure.
So I used my gut feeling a lot to get myself into these different businesses. And so, like I said, I stayed probably in property the longest because I do it now with my husband. And we developed a property, quite a few properties in London. And then we moved off, and only in the last few years, to Leicester. And we redeveloped again and decided to buy up a couple of properties there near the universities, so that, you know, people that coming in, they would need a place to stay, and they would rent from us, and because obviously they're going to the university, so it worked out really well. Again, that was a gut feeling that I had to go and invest in Leicester. Cool. So and then I worked in the corporate world as well, and I used to get my accounts, but I didn't work hard, to be honest, Jonathan. I didn't work hard at all. I used to imagine me getting these accounts, and they would literally phone me up. I'd have to go. It was a food company I'd worked for, Breaks. I don't know if you know.
So was this before or after the property phase?
That was
trying to piece it all together here.
Okay, sorry. So after the property business, which I'm still in, I then decided to have children, and so I took time out to have those children because my body was very stressed. I really had difficulty falling pregnant. So the advice from the doctor was, you need to come away from working too much. You're working yourself to the bone. And I didn't really have to, but I did. I decided to, be a mum, full-time mum, which I was, but my itchy feet started to itch about 4 years into my son, and then I had my little girl, and then I decided to develop a business at home. It was making cakes. I mean, it was so remote from what I ever used to do. Yeah, making cakes.
Nice.
I put myself into college, and I learned how to make figurines and all different things, and wedding cakes and things like that. And I started to sell cakes, and I started to get in with another company who I was regularly making cakes for in the end. I had a partner as well who we split it 50-50. But I was the one that was mostly going out and getting the business. And then the guy that I was mostly got the business from, this particular account that I had, said to me, where'd you get all your suppliers from? And I said, I normally go either up north or whatever. And he said, well, I've got someone who would be able to help you in reducing the prices. And I thought, okay, that would be great. And he said, well, have you heard of a company called Breaks? And I said, yeah, but aren't they like massive corporate company? Why would they want to deal with a little fish like me? Do you know what I mean? I'm like a little homemaker who's just doing this on the side. It's no big thing. Anyway, I met this guy, and he came to my house and he said, I can give all of these products really cheap, like cocoa and flour, and they sold everything though. I mean, they basically, Breaks serve the country. They serve also Spain, I think, as well, in Europe.
Wow.
They're massive. Anyway, in the end, after about 6 months of him giving me flour and cocoa powder and stuff like that, quite reasonable price, he then offered me a job. And I'm like, oh, okay. I've never worked in the corporate world before. And I thought, well, actually, I'm getting a bit fed up of being at home making cakes. Why not? Let's give it a go. He said, well, you can keep your cake business going. He said, your partner can keep it going, and you can still take orders and stuff. He said, because this won't take up too much of your time. I thought, okay. So I gave that a go and was in that for about 3 years. And I'm a very competitive person, wanted to come to the top, and burnt myself out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long into that?
Which wasn't the first time.
No. How long into that did you feel that you burnt yourself out?
Probably the first year. I really worked hard because I felt like I needed to catch up. I felt like I needed to, prove myself. Again, I'd never been in that industry before, ever. And I had to learn an industry. And then it was really strange because I remember I had to manage myself. I had to work from home. So I had a laptop and I had a car, like company car, and they go, right, off you go, out you go. This is the laptop you use to send out prices to Breaks, to, obviously to look after the accounts. And if anybody needs anything, you just service them, you just help them. So I'd have to travel around the country. I went all around the country. I did a particular area as well, but mileage was like enormous.
Yeah.
And I just went round in my little, car that they gave me, and I loved it. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it though, because I felt like I had some sort of purpose. But saying that, my drive, I guess, my always, which is always what I've had an issue with. Well, it's not an issue, but I've always had a bit of an issue with, I'm very competitive, and so everything had to be perfect, and it was all very sort of controlling, and I had to be top girl, and if I didn't get top girl, it really like messed with my emotions, and I just had to let go. Basically, I had to relax. I was like full on all the time, it was constantly on this like treadmill. I call it a treadmill. And I did enjoy what I did, but then I got sent home one day because I was very ill. I couldn't carry on, and I said to my boss, I'm really sorry, but I can't carry on. And they put me on like a 3-month rehab to come back to work, but they said that actually it affects most people in sales that are very competitive like yourself. And that's when it all started with this business. That's when I started to discover, not that I didn't know about the law of attraction, but this is when I started to, I guess, live a better lifestyle where I have more balance, where I'm more mindful of what I'm doing, where I'm happier, I'm being with my kids, my family, and I'm still achieving things. Monetary wise is important, but also significant wise, how you want to, what you want to do in the world, and it wasn't just dealing with a company. So I then started to do a lot of self-development, and I did a couple of courses, and then it went even deeper and deeper and deeper. And I've, at a very young age as well, like going back again, I got exposed to the law of attraction, and it was through a guy actually I dated, and he said, oh, come on, let's go here. And he was a Jewish guy, and we went to this like meeting. It was in a house, and it was all these like really like extremely religious Jewish people with those big hats and everything. I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing
was
here?
This a first date, or is this just
No, this was this was after a few dates. And then I thought, what the hell am I doing here? But it was really interesting because everything that he was saying, the rabbi, in this like talk session, it was like a talk session, and it was only for Jewish people. I'm Jewish. It was only like for Jewish people. Like it was like no one else can hear this. You're not even allowed to hear it yourself because you're not old enough, kind of thing. There was a lot of like secrecy around it. And they were talking about everything that we learned in The Secret. So if you have seen The Secret, it was all about that. And I'm thinking, okay, so that was in my 20s. I got exposed to that. So that's why since my 20s I've used the law of attraction, because this is what the Kabbalists, they call them, that's what they were teaching me. And every week I was like addicted. I'd go back every week, even though, and I kept saying to them, look, I'm not becoming any religious Jew at all. I eat bacon and everything, so I love my prawns,
Surprised
my
they
real
let you
prawns.
in.
Yeah, exactly. But they just wanted to teach this because they said, if you learn this, you can teach it to others. And then you can change the world, kind of thing. And you can. I mean, it's incredible. But it's been a bit of a journey. And obviously, when you're that age, they say to you, you're not allowed to learn this stuff until you're in your 40s. And I always wondered why, and questioned why. And I said, why? They said, because you've got to live life a little bit. And I'm like, oh, but I was in my 20s, and but I used very much what they taught, which was all about the law of attraction and how to surrender, how to let go of outcomes, and just trust in the great I, in the source, whatever you want to call it, universe, God, that everything will be working out for you as best of the ability of it, and just trust that. So I did, and a lot of the time I just used my gut feeling to create things, manifest, and I'm still doing it to this day. I'm not going to stop. And none of us are stopping, constantly manifesting anyway. So.
It sounds like you, like the rabbi said, you have gone through the first, I mean, you've been through a journey. It sounds like you've been through a roller coaster of industries, of emotions and everything. And it sounds like you got a lot of experience right from the start. And now I guess that you're putting that into practice with what you're doing at the moment. But yeah, it's really interesting you say about all the law of attraction stuff, and that I guess you clocked onto it so early in your life.
I was very lucky.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I was told about it. And some things that
you
have
are
happened in
very
my
lucky
life,
to have you.
and you know, you sort of you envision what you want. And there was this one time I was just about to say earlier, I listened to the Netflix The Secret show, and then I read the book, and I thought I've been into I've got loads of books down here and loads of books down here, so I'm into my personal development, but I feel like the meditation side is a little bit more spiritual, and they do go hand in hand. So it's the first, I guess, I got introduced to the spiritual side of things rather than just like, you know, like the hardcore personal development stuff. And they just said, you know, you gotta really envisage what you want, and obviously it goes into so much more than that. But then I thought, well, this must be ridiculous.
This is rubbish.
Yeah, this is just stupid. If
fairy.
Yeah,
I've heard it all. Yeah.
If this was true, why wouldn't everyone be doing it?
Why isn't everybody doing it? Yeah, because we don't know about it.
That's it. So I thought about it, and I'd almost just set up my first business. I was probably 19, 20 years old, and I was just like, all right, okay.
That's young.
Yeah, so I just thought, all right, okay, well, let's give this a shot. And anyway, it was just like this sort of energy that I had towards achieving what I wanted, and it was the first thing that I thought of. So it was just, I want to make as much money as I can in this day. And it was this week, and that week the company made as much money, the most money that we had ever made through our 1 or 2 years trading. So from that point on, I've been a believer. And I think it goes into so much more depth and detail into, I guess, the spiritual side of things and ways to tap into that. So that's something I want to talk to you about, because again, like I said, it's not my usual conversation, but it's so interesting, and
it is. It's very interesting.
I think people get a lot of value from it, introducing it into their lives. And you spoke about how you can introduce it or use it in perhaps a sales environment, because sales can be really, it can be hardcore sometimes. And you know, if you're not doing well the next month, that can
really affect you mentally and emotionally. And
exactly.
And what I did was, I mean, I had, like, for example, in the corporate world, I had the smallest area, but I had, and I had to also manage my GP. In other words, what we made gross profit out of the whole area. I had about 200 customers, which was very low for the, you know,
it's a lot of customers.
200 customers to service.
That's crazy.
So I started to learn to use the 80-20 rule, but I also started to implement my skills in manifesting what customers were going to be giving me the best return.
Sure.
So in other words, I sort of like went, right, okay, so I've got, I don't know, top 20 customers out of 200 are going to be giving me the 80% return I need. So it's about working on smartly, and it's about focusing on, okay, so I'm going to give them, what it is giving them love, really. It's giving out love and attention and focus onto those customers, or onto the object of your desire. You know, it's sending out that love of, I want this, but at the same time, I surrender and I'm not attached to any outcomes. Because if you're attached to anything that's going to maybe not happen, maybe something's not meant to happen, because as much as you are consciously in control, most of us aren't consciously in control of our desires or of what we experience in our reality. You know, a lot of us, our subconscious mind is where our beliefs are, our habits are. It's where a lot of our conditioning comes from when we're, you know, kids. We've been taught by our parents and also by our peers, maybe some teachers, you're not good enough for that, you're not good enough for this, and you're told this. And it's like, I mean, I was told I was terrible at maths and I'll never amount to anything. I mean, what a terrible way to bring up a child, you know, in a school. But that's what I was told. I didn't come out with many GCSEs at all. I just got by consciously knowing what I wanted, choosing the right things for me, and working hard through them. Don't get me wrong, I did not work hard, but I consciously manifested what I knew was going to get me there. And speaking to the right people and being that right person, for example, in front of even manifesting the right interview, even getting the right job that I wanted. I did it all through law of attraction. And I also knew exactly, like, when I'm sitting in front of somebody, whether I'm going to get a good deal or not. Do you know what I mean? You sort of almost manifest that before you even walk through the door. You've already got it in your mind's eye as to this is how it's going to go. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think is that a natural ability, or do you think that can
I
be
don't.
taught?
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe I've had a long time trying and using it. But I think you just have to practice it. It's like going to the gym. You know, it's using that muscle in your mind, your consciousness, to help guide you towards the good things that are greater for you, that are best for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if there's any outcome of, let's say you've partnered up with somebody in a business. And I mean, I've partnered up with many businesses, but it's always managed to fall away equally. You know, there's been no fight over money or anything like that, because again, it's got to be for the best for both of you. You know, at the end of the day, if you've both put in whatever you've put in, then it's if it's not meant to go anywhere, it's not holding a grudge to anything. It's just it's experience. It's just, well, look, this didn't work out, so let's just cut our losses and let's just split everything down the middle and we walk our separate ways. It doesn't matter who's put in what, in some respects, because everybody's putting their energy of something, whether that be monetary or whether that be, you know, through sweat and whatever, you know, and through work, then that counts for the same thing. So, you know, I've always a big believer in, as long as you both end up with good outcomes, whatever happens, and that's in relationships, that's with, you know, being understanding when you're doing a deal or something, you know, it's coming out to the best of the ability of what we can get out of this, you know, so that
for
it
both
suits
people involved.
For both people involved, because then that's not a deal, that's not a way, because you're going to be unhappy, you're going to be unfulfilled, you're going to walk away thinking, oh, I could have done so much better than that. But if you go in with that sort of equal-mindedness, and also with the outcome of, well, you know, I want to go in with this. It's like, I get people that ring me up and say, oh, I've got a terrible boss that I work for at the moment. How do I go in and talk to that boss? And I said, well, you set the intention. You say, right, I'm going to have a good conversation. You have that conversation in your mind's eye, in your process of what you want to manifest, how you want that to go, you know, and then you leave the rest to the universe. You know, you've got to let go of outcomes. You've got to detach from what you want. If you're holding on so tight to something, then when you're holding on so tight, what's going to happen? Your hands are going to get, you know, strained, and you're going to feel tense. And so it's about letting go. And I remember when I was going for these like deals and these other accounts, new accounts that I had to bring in, I remember just imagining me visiting them. I imagined me sitting down with them. I imagined saying, okay, so how can I help you? You know, what do you want out of this? And they would then say, I want this, this, and this. And okay, if I was to meet this, this, and this, would you come on board? Yeah, of course I would. Great. You know, so it would be a case of being equal to that person, not showing off in any way, but just really understanding what their needs are first. And then you can put your needs, you know, towards that and say, well, if I do this, will this be okay if I do this then, you know? And it's exactly the same with law of attraction, but you've got to go first, you know. And sometimes, for example, when we're, let's say, developing a new company, or we're going into business with somebody, or we're going into a new business we're not quite sure about, but we've seen good results that somebody else has had, you know, it's all about your energy of what you give to it, and how positive you are towards it. And also beliefs get in the way of what you manifest. So, you know, if your beliefs are in your subconscious mind, you're not aware of some of your beliefs, which is, oh, rich people are horrible, or if I'm going to manifest all this money, then how will I have any spare time to myself? I'm not going to be working like a dog. Then those beliefs will get in the way. Those beliefs will actually disrupt the signals that you're sending out to the universe, because it doesn't understand your language. It only understands your emotions, you know, the law. So it's an intangible law, but it's very much real. It's very, very real. And it's been backed up by science as well.
And I can't, it was probably a year ago now. I read a book, and it was talking about your money blueprint as well. I don't know if that's something that you're aware of.
And I do a money mindset blueprint, where I take you through a journey of what's your relationship with money.
And I mean, that's some of the things that you just said there are things that I've had troubles with. I think the surrendering side of things has been the most difficult thing for me, and I still find it difficult. And for me, you know, it's hard to just leave it up to I guess not fate, but you know, fate. I was going to use the word fate.
Actually trust, really,
Yeah,
it's, yeah. But I think as well, like I say, any doubts you've got, but what meditation can do is really get you in touch with your intuition, which is your inner being. It's where your guru is, it's where your GPS is.
Right.
And after you've calmed the mind and gone through that section of, say, meditation, there is a deeper layer. Obviously, like going to the gym, you go to the gym maybe to get fit, healthy. You don't see results straight away. You start to see things over time slowly happening. All of a sudden, I look like my core is, looking a bit stronger, and I'm starting to see my body taking shape a little bit differently, and I'm eating a lot better. So that momentum will gain, and we'll keep going. But we've got to go first. We've got to do that first, and we've got to persevere through it. But by you actually doing regular meditation, guided meditation, I do guided meditation. I do a lot of visualizing. I help people to visualize what they want. I sell one actually at the moment, which I have. And also I've created an online like self-development, spiritual self-development, personal growth team of people. Well, there's three of us coaches. And we are helping people to manifest through this whole crisis. The fact is, you can still manifest money. You don't have to look at the crisis. The media will tell you, it's terrible and there's a terrible recession going on now, we're going to be like doom and gloom. It's all doom and gloom. But what meditation does is it brings you within. So it shuts out, you're able to then shut out the outside, because that's just the reality. It's not if that becomes your internal reality, then that's what you're going to be feeling: stressed out, chaotic, worried about your future, worried about money and what have you. But what meditation can do, and visualization, is to help you, guide you towards what you do want, rather than listening to the naysayers and all this doom and gloom out there. It really does take you within yourself. But I think that a lot of people now, which is really good, are starting to go more within, specifically from this COVID situation. They've got no choice. Some people are going to discover things about themselves and they're not going to like it, but part and parcel of, I guess, developing yourself. There are areas of me I still have to work on. It's a never ending process. We are working processes all the time.
And how do you start off with something like this? Because you do see the gurus out there, and you can look at that and be like, well, that guy's obviously, or that guy or that woman has obviously spent years and years and years to get to that point. And I find you're probably very good at this. I find that you can really tell when people are good within themselves. I feel like you can always tell when somebody is, or
it's a feeling, isn't it? It's an energy. I mean, you're feeling the energy of somebody. If their life is sorted and they seem quite peaceful and in harmony with their life, you can see that. You can. It's a feeling. It's not really a tangible thing, but it's a feeling we get. And the thing is, your energy walks in before you do. So everybody doesn't really. We don't get taught this at school. We don't get taught this as kids. So, if you learn to read energy a little bit, or if you learn to just be more in tune with the vibrations that people are emitting, because we're vibrating beings. I'm getting a bit technical here, but
I find it really difficult to understand the vibration side of things.
But when you say, for example, you walk into a room, you go, God, there's some sort of funny vibe in here. That's basically a vibration you're
after an argument normally.
You might say, oh my God, you can cut this air with a knife, or somebody died in here today or something. You feel it. You can't see it. You can't tangibly touch it. You can't even smell it. You can feel it. You just feel a tension in the air. And that's to do with our vibrations that each one of us sends out. And so if something bad went on in that room or whatever, that's just energy, basically. It's all we're all made up of energy anyway. I mean, if you know about The Secret, they talk about that a little bit. So your thoughts are energy. So obviously, if your thoughts are energy, they're in the non-physical world and they come into the physical, and then something manifests into the physical. And that's basically how it's so simple, but it isn't easy, like you say, to surrender sometimes to outcomes, or we hold on so tight to a thing that we're desperately wanting. But the idea is to just happily be going on in our way, and just enjoying life and really enjoying every moment that we, you know, can possibly enjoy. Even through this pandemic that's going on, you know, I've managed to build my little home gym up. I've got a lot of time now, and it's great. I don't have to take my daughter to school anymore. She's homeschooling. She's doing really, really well. You know, so there's a lot of good things that can come out of bad things. There's always the opposite, polar opposite to negative to positive. There's always going to be that. And, you know, I think it's about you directing yourself and being consciously disciplined to just go, right, is that my ego, or is that because I really want this, because I just want to earn a load of money. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to earn a load of money, because I had that, you know, I had that desire at a very young age, and I wanted all my luxuries and everything. I wanted to be able to travel the world and not have to worry about money. And it's really what we're all wanting is freedom, and that's understandable. But also it's knowing that you can become a very, you know, an amazing person by, if you do earn the money and you do start to build some sort of, you know, empire of whatever you want to call it, you can help others, you know, with that. You can start to show the way. You can start to maybe even develop your own charities. You can start to put your money where it's needed as well, because there's only a certain amount you can spend anyway. And to be honest, by giving is such an amazing spiritual feeling that you would get, much more fulfilling than reaching, you know, the top of the league of something. I mean, it's great to be the top of the league of something, but something I discovered in, like I said, the corporate world, is I did become top sales girl, but at the detriment of my own health. And it's like, well, actually, it wasn't really worth it. It wasn't really worth it. So, and I didn't feel fulfilled anyway afterwards, which was madness. It's like, oh, this is not fulfill me. So what is going to fulfill me? And actually what does fulfill me is by doing the work that I do now, which is helping other people and supporting other people in their life, showing them the way, shining that torch down a road where they've not even seen before, and just helping them with manifesting, with, you know, being mindful of what are they thinking about, you know, because a lot of us, we have over 60,000 thoughts a second coming in. And you have a filter system which will only filter out so many of those thoughts. And a lot of those thoughts that you're filtering are going to just be repeated, filtered thoughts. So it's very hard to change your thoughts to a new way of being when you have also these belief systems that are going to disrupt you creating a different or a change in your life that you want to do. You need to learn about how to do it, and through meditation you can, and through the law of attraction you can learn there is a different way, you know, but you just got to be persistent and just keep doing it. But I'm no novice. Listen, you know, it's just a case of I've still got to practice every day, meditating and connecting with myself, because the ego is very strong. It's very, very strong-willed, and it will pull you the other way consistently, keeping you in mediocrity or keeping you in fear. It will. And there's so much out there elsewhere. You know, you've got friends or even family that doubt what you believe in. Oh, that's rubbish. You know, they'll try and sway you off. So you've got loads of, like, you're battling bullets, you know, not only within your mind, but you're also battling outside as well. So it's a constant battle. So it's not something that, you know, you just do once and then you're a guru. You know, you have to keep it going. And it helped me to get out of depression. It helped me, meditation, to get out of stress and anxiety. I don't have any anxiety whatsoever. I haven't had depression for about 10 years. And now I help other people with that, you know. And I went really low, really low, because I got burnt out in work, and that devastated me. I was like, oh my God, how can I, you know, it was like life or death. It was that bad. It was like, I can't work anymore.
It's something that I wanted to talk to you about, really, because I know, you know, a lot of people get into these situations where they do get depressed or anxious or have some sort of mental illness. And when you're in that state, you probably know better than everyone or anyone, it's very difficult to think, oh today I'm just going to change. I'm going to start thinking positively. I'm going to meditate. What would you say to someone who is in that state or is getting there to I guess, get out of that or take steps to getting out of it?
Okay, so there are steps that you can take. And at the time when I was probably deep in my depression, I kept hearing, be patient, Lisa, be patient. I don't know whether it was from someone telling me that or whether it was my inner being trying to connect with me and saying, be patient, you'll be better, you'll get better. I decided actually to not take any drugs to get any better because it numbed me and I didn't like the feeling.
That's interesting.
So I decided, that's when I discovered meditation. Because it connected me back to who I am. And so I guess, you know, when you're in that state, it doesn't take much time to just do a 5-minute, just close your eyes and you don't have to imagine anything, just close your eyes, take some deep breaths. And that's what I started to do daily. And then 5 minutes turned into 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes turned into 15, and then 15 turned into a half an hour, and then half an hour turned into more. And then I was doing maybe 2 or 3 meditations a day, every time I needed to, because it was making me better. It was making me feel better. Going out in nature, connecting with nature can really help ground you. When you're in a depressive mind, your chemicals obviously in your mind are all over the place, and you don't feel grounded, you don't feel like you're here, you don't feel like you're a human being, you feel so out of it, like your head is just in the clouds. And it is because your spirit is not properly in your body, because that's what happens with depression. You don't want to be here, your emotions are all against being physical. So you know, you feel numb anyway. And so by going into nature and just taking daily walks even helped me as well. And it's only simple things that you need to do. But we're so much in a society where let's give you a pill to make you better. It doesn't. It just puts a plaster over the cut. But that cut is still open. It can still open up, because as soon as that plaster's taken off, or you leave it on all that time and you just keep taking the drugs, you'll never really get into the root cause of why you're getting that depression. And I wanted to never ever have depression again, so I knew that I had to work on myself, and I had somebody help me as well. And then I went back to, believe it or not, I went back to the Kabbalists to learn more, because
oh, amazing.
I said, I've got depression, can you help me? And they went, of course we can, the law of attraction can. I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, I rang them up, and I remember going to see them only once a week. I went there once a week, and they would put me in this, again, a meditative state, like a state of prayer even. And I would just feel amazing. I would just feel amazing. And so very, very quickly, I came out of that burnt out, depressive mindset that I had. And that's when I was able to then start working on myself and start to build on myself, build the foundations. If you haven't got strong foundations, it's like building a house. You haven't got the strong foundations, it's going to crumble again. And that's what was happening to me over and over and over, because every time I used to be in work, or I used to do something, I'd get depressed about something would bring me down like a ton of bricks, and then I'd have to get myself back up again. And I thought, well, my foundations aren't strong, so I need to get a strong foundation. Now I'm aware of my triggers. I'm aware of when I do need to rest, when I do need to, like, you know, okay, Lisa, sit back a bit today, you know, stop reacting to stuff, you know, managing myself a lot better. And it's about you managing yourself. It's about you balancing yourself. But that takes time, and that takes learning, and like anybody can do it. I mean, if I can do it, anyone can. And you know, you've got to really want it though. You've got to really say, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I need to build a stronger body, a stronger emotional body, so that I can cope with everyday life, because everyday life is not getting any easier, especially with all the media and all the, you know, negative stuff that's out there. You've just got to protect yourself. And so I started to learn about how to protect myself. I realized that I'm an empath, which means I'm empathic to other people's energy, so I can absorb other people's energy. So a lot of that wasn't actually even mine. So it's asking that question, like, if you're with somebody and they're moaning and groaning, or they're offloading their shit to you, and it's like, oh, that's terrible, that's really bad, you know, you're reacting to that, and you're trying to say, well, let me help you. Or you can't help them, because they've created that stuff. And a lot of the stuff that we create, and again, the depression or whatever stress, whatever anxiety we might experience, we've all created that ourselves. We're all individually responsible. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Once you realise that you are responsible for your own drama in your life and what you've, what you're actually creating,
it's always the hardest one, isn't it?
That you're experiencing. Oh my God, did I really manifest this? Yes, you did. I did manifest this, So, but by manifesting that, it got me into a deeper way of learning about how I can help others, because I helped myself. So now that's what I do, and that's what brought me on to this work. So I always reflect back and say, I'm glad I had depression at that time, because actually it's made me a much stronger person. It's actually helped me to understand how I can help other people by just giving them the tools that I used, which were very simple tools. You just got to do them every day, and just to keep on doing them. And it's created a really nice group of people that are getting so much from it, and they're healing. You're healing. We're also experiencing things from our past that comes up and might stop us from doing things, and you've just got to be really strong and go, you know what, I'm not going to let my beliefs, and again it's questioning your beliefs, because some of your beliefs are going to keep you holding you back, like, oh, I'm not going to invest in that, because it might not work or whatever. You've got that negative, and then you speak to your friend and your friend goes, you really going to spend that kind of money and you're going to do that? Don't listen to them. You just listen to yourself. Check in with yourself always, connect with yourself. And you can do that in meditation in 5 minutes, or in journaling. I like writing, scripting things, like asking your soul, whatever you want to call it, questions, or the universe questions, and then see what comes back, And you'd be surprised actually just how connected we are. We're very much connected to the universe. We're part of it. We're not separated from it, but a lot of us do feel separated because we have this human body which keeps us separated, but actually we are a spiritual being having a human experience.
And I think at the end, I'd love to give the audience and everyone listening a way to get in touch with you, because it sounds like you have been through it, and it sounds from what you're talking about a great way to I guess combat that. So you spoke earlier about the 80-20 rule. Now that can really be used for business, as with a lot of these things. You said earlier about surrounding yourself with the right people. That's massively in the property development field, where you just got to be around the right people that are supporting you and pushing you up rather than dragging you down. And the 80-20 rule is something I'm reading about at the moment, actually, with Brian Tracy. Is it Pareto principle or something? What is that? Can you talk about that in the business sense, or in the sense?
To be honest, the 80-20 rule is a rule which works in your everyday life as well. It's about balance. It's about focusing on what's going to get you there, basically, rather than focusing on things that are going to be like just a waste of time, to be honest. So, for example, in business, if you've got a group of people, you want to pull on their biggest strengths. Everybody's got a different strength and a way of working. And this actually came up in numerology. I studied numerology as well, and we're all different numbers, and different numbers work well with different numbers. And your characteristics are really to be used at their fullest. Everybody has the ability to use. Some people are really good at communicating, others are not very good. Maybe they're better at technology, but they're not very good at communicating. So you want to put the people that you're surrounding yourself with in business, you want to put them in the right places. And that's also to do with the 80-20 rule. And as well as, if you've got somebody, for example, who is a real go-getter, and they just want to go out there and do things, and they want to action everything. It's great to have somebody like that as well, because you can say to them, right, you need to do this, and they've got to be in that position. But there's no point in them being behind a desk and not being able to go out there if they've got that kind of personality. So again, the 80-20 rule is understanding what's going to get me there, the minimal percentage that I need to work on. What do I need to work on? Like, what areas of a business do I need to work on, which is going to give me the biggest return? For example, You know, you can either work on getting, say, a load of people, you know, a load of accounts in, let's say, for example, but they're all, say, mediocre accounts. They're going to spend a minimum of 150 quid a week with you, let's say.
Yeah.
Would you be better off, though, just getting maybe 2 or 3 big accounts that are maybe harder to get, maybe longer to wait for, but they're going to give you a much bigger return. Plus, they're probably going to stay with you longer because you're going to work on them a lot longer. You're going to be developing that relationship with them. That's the 80-20 rule. And that's something that I did. You know, when I was in business, I never went for the small accounts. I always went for the medium accounts, mostly the big accounts. And everyone said to me, you're going for these big accounts, it's not going to happen. Yeah. Whatever, you know, I didn't listen to that. And I just went, don't listen to the naysayers, because they're in fear, they're in doubt, and their doubts and their fears are going to be projected onto you. So I just did my own thing, and I just went, okay, whatever. And I remember actually something where where the law of attraction was really in operation here. I mean, I saw it literally. I'll explain what happened. So I was wanting this big account actually in the hotel business. It was in the hotel area, and so it was a massive account. It was worth about probably about 150,000 to me a year.
Wow.
Okay, so quite a big account. And that would have set me up for the rest of the couple of years on, you know. So I thought, right. So I kept visiting this hotel, and the chef wouldn't see me because it was obviously we were selling food. He wouldn't see me. I'm like, okay, all right. I kept leaving my card. I walked away. A couple of months went by. I went over. I gave my card again. No, not interested in seeing you. Fine. We don't want to work with you. Fine. Okay. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call from my head office, because I kept imagining myself going in there and speaking to this lovely chef and dealing with this person and helping them. But I detached from any outcomes. You know, I wasn't like desperate. If you're desperate for something, you're pushing it away, you're resisting.
And it shows. I think it shows.
And it shows, yeah, if you're desperate. But I was very nonchalantly, you know, just going in every like 3 months. And I had to be patient, because obviously it's a big account. And I thought, I'm going to get you. I just knew it. I just thought, I'm going to get you. I just need patient. I need to wait for this big fish. You know, when you're trying to catch a big fish, how long does it take? It takes an army of you, doesn't it? But you've got to be patient, because the big fish are very clever. Anyway.
It's more exciting though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. More exciting. And it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. That's why it's worth the wait, you know, because you feel so much more fulfilled when you've achieved something, and it's definitely worth your while, because they're going to stick with you. Anyway, I ended up getting a phone call from head office, and months has gone by. I haven't been in for probably about 3 months. And I get a phone call, and apparently, can I call the chef? Oh, okay. You didn't want to see me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he's changed his tune a bit. Yeah. So I ring up the company and I say, hi, this is Lisa from, you know, the company. Oh, yes, we're really excited to see you. I said, oh, did you get my card? And did you get my pamphlet that I, you know, left? No. I said, well, how did you get my number then? Well, no, I'm a new chef. I've been brought in to replace the old chef that was here. And actually, we used to deal with your company in the other place that I used to work in.
No way.
And I've always had wonderful service. And I'd love you to come in and tell me what you can sell, like tell me what you can, you know, offer me. And I'm like, wow. I mean,
that's crazy.
Isn't that law of attraction working so beautifully?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's moments like that where you just think...
I didn't even have to chase him. He chased me. And it wasn't even the same person. It was a complete... So the universe has to sort out the components and put everything in the right place for it to happen. So you've got to be patient for that. There's what's called a digestion period. And so you've got to let and allow the universe to maneuver those people in the right place for you to achieve what you want to achieve. That's why you've got to let go of the outcomes, because you forcing that or you trying to do that, you couldn't. You'd be so frustrated. You'd be so like, this is not going to work, and you'd forget it, and you wouldn't even have an opportunity. You'd give up.
Yeah.
But that's how the law of attraction works. It knocks on your door. It comes to you rather than you having to force through it. So yeah, you know, I digress from the 80-20 rule, but you know, it's also the same thing with the 80-20 rule with the law of attraction. You know, Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. The 80% of what you want, leave the 20% that you don't want, leave that behind. It's like with everything, you just use that to get you your best results of what you want. Use that 20% again. If you're going to have 20% out of something, and the 20-80 rule is something I was taught in business, but I still use it in my everyday life as well, of what I want to focus on and what I want to achieve. Because am I going to be really working hard and creating something? Let's say I get this inspiration to create something and I'm working away, but I've got no one to buy it. What's the point? What is the point? You're doing 80% and you're going to get 20% back from that? You might not. So you need to really twist it around. And what I do is I would go out there, say, right, this is what I've got, this is what I can do. If it is needed, or if it is wanted or desired from somebody else, then I create it. Then I use my power to get myself into the right position to create what I need to create for that person, or but I'm very much a big believer in, a lot of us overcomplicate things, and we don't need to be, so we don't need to overcomplicate things. We can do things really simply by being in flow with things, rather than by forcing things. And because as soon as you force anything to happen, you're just resisting it, you're pushing it further away, and you're getting more frustrated, and you're getting more upset with yourself, you're talking more negatively to yourself as well, that you're not capable, and you're comparing yourself to others, and it just goes into a horrible spiral. You don't have to allow it to go like that. You have a choice, of what you choose.
I totally agree, and I think everything you spoke about you can use it in both your business life and personal life, and hopefully you can bring them in synergy together, like what you've done. You've taken your experience and what you've learned, and you put it into a company now that it sounds like you're pretty passionate about.
I'm very passionate,
and you're helping a lot of people out. So let's take it back to maybe what some of the listeners are going to be thinking about, and that's your property investment side. And I think using this sense of what we were just talking about getting out your own way, and I think when people start or look at investing in property, they can almost get in their own way to think, when's the right time to buy? What is the right place to buy? There's all these factors that will tell you why you shouldn't do it. And something that I've learned recently is turning no because into yes if, and changing that mindset so that you say, should I buy that? Yes, if I get enough money to do it, or I do enough research, blah blah blah. But what can you teach people or say to people that are looking to invest in property?
Well, I think you need to do your homework. Something that my husband and I did was we wanted to reinvest. For example, about 3 years ago, we reinvested again because we thought we're sitting on our bottoms doing nothing at the moment, and it was a bit like, what should we do? Okay, let's have a look what else we can sort of develop. Anyway, so he went around the country looking for places to go. So he went to Margate, he went to Kent, he went not so far up north, but was thinking about even going to Wales as well. So he went towards Manchester and towards more northwards, Birmingham, to see if it was worthwhile investing in. And I think what you need to do is do your homework. You need to have a look at the area. You need to also check out what universities are nearby, because you can get a lot of expats coming in from different countries, and also internally people obviously that are going to universities that will definitely need your properties. Don't go for big properties. I always suggest going for 1 and 2 beds. It's better to have more people, and then you'll have more people take up, rather than having these groups that can come in, which we've had, we have had, but they are harder to manage. And also, if you have, like, is it HMOs, aren't they?
HMO,
an HMO. We've had an HMO and we haven't had the best luck with it. So we've decided to sell that property, and it's knowing what to do. It's just listening to what's going on as well. It's having your ear close to what's going on,
Yeah.
you know, and also just really doing your homework, you know, looking into things, you know, seeing if, would you live there? You know, if you was a teenager, would you want to live there?
Yeah.
You know, would you want to be in an area? You'd want to be maybe close to the town where there's lots going on. And it's a great place to invest going into towns. Anyway, we decided to invest in Leicester. And we got a really good agent that we were working with, which we found. And we ended up buying some new properties, again, 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And we were able to just build on that. And obviously, since COVID's come in, we've actually still been managing to have, you know, money coming in, which is great, you know, because we didn't know what would happen.
Yeah.
And also the property market, you know, everyone's saying how it's going to be really affected, and don't listen to what's going on out there. Again, I still say that, you know, everybody's fears is being projected out there.
Yeah.
I still believe, for example, we've got a property that we were trying to sell before all this pandemic was going on. And then obviously we got the phone call saying, oh, everything's been shut down. The guys decided to, you know, not. But I just had that gut feeling that I knew we were going to sell the property, but it wouldn't go to this person. I thought, no, we're going to find somebody else and it's going to go through. Anyway, we did have another offer. And actually, it was only a couple of weeks ago, this person made the offer and said, I'd like to go through, but I'd like it to go through within like a 4-week period. So we said, great,
Amazing.
okay. Yeah, whereas this other guy was taking such a long time. So don't attach yourself to things, to people that maybe say things, you know, you've got to do your homework. If they're a cash buyer, or if they're a, you know, if they're a, or mortgage, they have to get a mortgage. Is that in place? You know, just ask the right questions. It's really asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And it's being really savvy about what you're doing. And it's also building relationships with the agents. I think because we're nowhere near Leicester, you know, we live in Essex. We live on the borders of Essex and Hertfordshire. So we're nowhere near Leicester.
Yeah.
So it was really important to build a good relationship with an agent that was looking after us, saying, and having it in a place where also a company that can manage the properties and that can help if anything goes wrong. Then we don't have to rush to Leicester, because it's about 2.5 hours, nearly 3-hour journey. You know, and it's about building your relationships, because if you build the foundations right, like in any business, you build those relationships, then they'll always see you through and they'll help you. And it's about, you know, keeping on to people as well. And I mean, we're very much in contact with our agents there. The ones in London that we have, we pretty much manage them ourselves, obviously, because we're not far.
Yeah.
And we've had them for many years, you know, since sort of last 20 odd years. So
I bet that was a good investment, wasn't it?
Look after themselves. Sorry?
I bet that was a good investment.
It was a very good investment at the time. Again, a big risk, and we thought, let's, you know, sod it, let's take it.
Yeah.
And it was something, again, that I imagined, that I just, you know, thought, come on, let's just go and borrow the money from the bank. And we did.
Yeah.
We were very lucky. We borrowed a lot of money. We took a massive risk. And I said to my husband, look, what's the worst that can happen? We live in a box, but as long as I've got you, I don't care. I was pregnant with my first child.
Yeah.
And I said, look, what's the worst that can happen? I said, we just don't have holidays for a few years, and we scraped by, but it didn't turn out like that. It was amazing. We had amazing, again, we built an amazing relationship with the surveyors and everybody that built the properties, and we sold each one of them. We had 10 properties. We sold 5 within the first year back to, and that money went back to the bank and paid off the bank.
Amazing.
And we now rent 5, which we've kept going in London. They're in Islington actually, and
lovely.
They are really good. So we're very lucky, and we're very grateful that we thank God that we took that risk. But you've got to take risks, you know. But like I say, it wasn't really a risk in London, but it is a risk when you take outside. I think when you're going outside of London, you know, yes, it is maybe a bit of a risk, but you've just got to do your homework. Yeah. You just got to do your homework. And like I said, the Leicester ones are doing really well as well. You know, we've got.
So why was it that you initially invested in property then? Obviously, you know, it's great cash flow if done right, and it can add to your bank balance. But was that you know, at what age did you invest at that? Was it when you were younger, or was it?
So yeah, that was in my early 30s.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I was in the property business myself.
Yeah.
And I used to be working in London. I was working near the Barbican, and I would be, I was like a valuer for the Barbican, and also I let property, yeah. And I was working for this company, and I thought, God, I'd love to buy loads of these up and just do them up, because they were all like done up in 50s and 60s style.
Yeah.
But they were quite expensive then. I mean, there's no way I had the money to do them, you know, anything like that. And when the right to buy came in, Maggie Thatcher brought the right to buy came in. So a lot of people that were council owned were able to buy their properties.
Right.
And so we had to go in, value the properties, and they'd buy them back from the government. So the government got quite a bit of money from this. And then we would then sell them. They'd say, right, I'm ready to put it on the market. I can sell this and get rid of it and make a little bit of money. I'm like, great, okay. So I was a valuer for the Corporation of London, along with some other people that were in the office and doing that. And I just, because I was really into property then, not that I'm not now, but I was really into property, and I just knew that this is the way forwards. There was a lot of expats as well coming in, buying up property.
Yeah.
And in those days, I mean, we're going back about 25 years. So, you know, when I was in that business, and it was amazing. It was really, truly amazing. But, you know, you had these expats that were coming in that were renting property in London, because they were working all the hours God sends in the big, you know, conglomerate companies like Clifford. You had, you know, I can't think of some of the other names, KPMG. You know, you had all of those massive companies that were global and that would send over their expats to rent, and they would pay up front, like, you know, a year up front for that person. Nice. So it was a great money spinner. Yeah. And then I just thought, God, I'd love to have some of this. I
want in on this.
I want in on this, you know, I'd love to. And as it turned out, my husband and I, a couple of years in, like, he had a business which was based in Islington, and it was an old factory that he had with his father. Right. And it was like an old fur factory that they were, unfortunately, China had started to make clothing a lot cheaper, as they did. Yeah. They were making fake fur coats. They were really, really, you know, a really good business. And then, as it turned out, obviously, China were coming in and, you know, stripping them from you know, the money that they were receiving from normal people, because they were able to make the coats up a lot
so much
cheaper.
Yeah.
So there was a choice: do we sell the business and just get rid of it and develop, or do we just completely, you know, get rid of it and sell the land, because it was on the people land?
Oh yeah.
And you know, David had spoke to his father, and you know, and we said, look, you've got to take that risk. Let's just develop it. You know, what have we got to lose? Like, we thought the worst we lose is we put our own house up for collateral, whatever. It just didn't matter. We just went for it, you know. Yeah. And I just had that faith and trust that it would be okay, because of where it was and what I had seen also in the business of what people were doing. And they went really quickly. They were all nicely modern in those days. I mean, I don't know how modern they are today, but they were really modern. They were quite advanced modern-wise for the flats that we had, you know, developed, and really enjoyed the project doing it as well. And I then literally quite soon after, as they were being built and sold, I had my first son. I had my son, my only son. I had my son. So I was sort of like not involved as much, but at the beginning I was very much involved, because through the company that I was working for, we had to get change of use, because at the time the factory was in commercial. Change back to residential if we wanted to. I mean, basically it's money for the government. You know, they just wanted, it's all about money, isn't it? So they just wanted their piece of the pie. We thought, okay, so we have to go through that, and we went through Islington Council, and my company that I was working for at the time had a really great relationship with them. So we managed to get that through very quickly. We didn't have to wait years for it, you know, whereas normally you'd have to wait years to have
Yeah.
that greed.
Yeah.
So it's all about, really, it is about timing. I think most businesses do have a timing, you know, a season. There's a good time to buy, there's a good time to rent out. You know, if you're going to rent a property out, it's best there's always a time between March and September is the time when you're going to rent your property. And then you'll normally find that that'll be the time that they'll rent, or it'll be for a year, and then they'll go.
Sure.
And then you'll have more people coming in. But unless you can find tenants that are staying more, but because of the way the economy is, people can't afford to buy. So it's great to have those rentals, because obviously you've got those younger generation that can't afford to buy, unfortunately, but that can rent. And so, you know, it's great for landlords.
You're helping people out there, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's great for landlords, you know. It's not great for the person who wants the property eventually to get on the ladder, but because it's not easy, is it, when you're renting and then you're trying to save money, and it's very, very difficult, you know, unless you know somebody or can borrow some money, you know. But yeah, I think it's something that all businesses have a season of when to buy, when to sell, you know, when to rent. It's seasonal. It's obviously in the summer. Most businesses aren't that busy in the summer. People go away a lot. You know, I don't know about this year, but people go away, and then normally you find September, October is when you're going to let a property or even sell a property. Then March and April, May are great times to sell your properties. You know, great time to put your property on the market. You normally find people are more looking, but sort of November, December, January, February, they're quite dead months, but that's a good time to go and look for stuff
and develop stuff.
You know, that's a good time to develop things. So it's knowing what to do, when to do it, and what energy you're putting into an area of what you're doing.
So what does the future look like for you? Are you pursuing the property side still, or is it mainly focused on your life coaching?
Well, I've been doing life coaching for the last 4.5 years now. I've now got a group of that I've set up, actually, when you were saying about at the end, if people want to get in contact. I've set up a group. It's literally £10 a month, opt out anytime. It's so cheap. You get
from what everyone's saving from being indoors.
Yeah, basically, I wanted to offer something where people can work on their personal growth, on really receiving great information, great tools and tips. And we do weekly sessions. I do a Monday meditation. So I do a Monday meditation where, and again, it depends on whether there's a new moon or full moon of what we're going to manifest and what's going to be put into that meditation. I also do, like, as I said, manifesting meditations, guided visualizations. That's every Monday, and that's included in the £10 a month. And then we have weekly sessions with myself, Nikki, and another gentleman called John, who's based in Canada. Nikki, actually, funny enough, she lives in Leicester. And she's an NLP practitioner and hypnotherapist as well. So
cool.
And we're just basically offering tools also inside the group. So if anybody wants to further their learnings, or their what they're wanting to go further, they can buy, for example, I created and downloaded, channeled a meditation all around manifesting. And actually, since some people have done it, they've manifested unexpected abundance, which is wonderful.
I bet that's an amazing feeling for you, isn't it?
That's so fulfilling. It really is. I mean, and again, it's not expensive. It's £15 to download this meditation. And we've had quite a few people in the group have got amazing results from it. Absolutely amazing. We've had people find their purpose. We've had people manifest £27,000 just dropped into their lap, literally.
Crazy.
And it is crazy, but it doesn't matter what's going on out there. It's because it's what's going on in your head. It's what's going on within you that you create. You are a creator. You are an individual creator who is able to create your own reality. We are all creating our own realities all the time. But like I said, a lot of the time we're very much distracted, or we get bombarded with such negativity that's out there that can make us feel doubtful or in fear of, oh my God, I'm worried about the future, and what if this doesn't work out, and what if that doesn't work out, and you fall into bits, and you're feeling like everything's so chaotic, and it doesn't have to be. And so if anybody wants to join, it's a membership and it's opt out anytime, as I said. and we do weekly sessions. So this week I'm doing a session all about actually law of attraction and the quantum field. Cool. And last week we had the NLP, basically how to neuro-linguistically rewire your mind of what, of how it works, basically, of, how your language works. It's very important, your language, what you talk and tell yourself. And people don't realise, they're not aware of it. They're not aware of their negative self-talk. Some people are, but they're not really wanting to be consciously aware of it. And as soon as you are, you're able to deal with it. And
some people, they think it's just some people just think it's their characteristic or their personality.
Yeah, they just think it's their blueprint or makeup. It's not. It's got nothing to do with you at all. It's just what you've been, under, like conditioned under so many years of it, and like I say, I don't watch the news, for example. I don't know what's going on in the world, apart from obviously this pandemic, but I don't listen purposely to the news. And my husband says to me, why don't you want to know what's going on? I said, because I don't want to know. It puts me in a bad mood. And I don't want my mood to be affected by what's going on out there, because actually what's going on in here is nice, and I want to keep it like that. And that doesn't mean that I'm not aware of what's going on, or I don't have to be constantly reading up on negative things and how many numbers are, these amount of people that are dying, and that I don't need to I can't affect that anyway. It's out of my control, like it's out of everybody's control. So what's the point in focusing on that? Focus on something you can control, which is your desires. You can your dreams. You focus on your dreams, because that's your mind doesn't know what's the difference between what's real and what's imagined anyway. So you might as well work on your mind, start telling it good things, give it nutrition, give it good things to think about, give it desires and your dreams that you want to manifest, rather than giving it negative things, because your mind doesn't understand what's real and what's not anyway. So once you start giving it the stuff that's not real yet, great, you can work on that, and then it will have no choice but to manifest. It's the way it is. It's the law, you know. It's the way it works.
Lisa, you've been absolutely amazing, and there is one thing that you touched on that I thought that we could maybe end on. I will leave links. I'll leave links and everything for all your courses, or your groups, and everything like that in the description, so people can come and check out what you do. You touched briefly upon purpose. If you can leave us with some motivation on finding your purpose, and what that means to you.
So finding your purpose, a lot of us are probably in jobs that we don't really enjoy, or we're doing them because we feel we have to do them. When you find your purpose, and a way of finding your purpose is by going within, is by really getting in touch. And there's one way you can do it. You can do it through journaling. You can actually write a list of what you like doing, and also thinking about, what did you like doing as a kid? I mean, I liked to, for example, I liked to help people, and I liked to make sure that I was like the mother hen. I was like sorting everybody out, and that's very much like coaching. People, and and I wanted to be of service. And so it's about discovering what makes you feel happy. What is going to make you feel happy getting up every day and doing? Rather than feeling, I don't want to do this job anymore, it's boring, it's awful, it doesn't fulfill me anymore. Why are you punishing yourself by doing a job you hate, or even just because of the money? Because honestly, the money is not going to make it any better. It really doesn't. No. You'll discover that, and unfortunately, I can't tell you that, but you will. You'll discover that.
We tell ourselves that
it'll make you feel better, but it doesn't, because it's not fulfilling you. You've got to now do something, I think, that fulfills your heart. If you're not in contact or connected to what your heart wants, and it's just literally asking it, it's saying, what do I like doing? Would I like to be, developing a new, item that I can sell, that you can buy, that will help people to, help with their health, with their immune system. Do I want to work on something where it's going to change people's mindsets and create, meditations like I'm doing? Or do I want to do something where I'm going to be helping people to make the world a better place? There's so many different things, but the thing is to write it down. I think, ask those questions, get yourself with a a pen and pad and just write down all the things you enjoy doing, the things you feel fulfilling, that make you feel with joy, that make you laugh, that make you smile, you know. And majority of what our purpose is connected with is normally connected with our soul as well. So your soul is very strong, and it will come up if you start to connect with it and talk with it. It wants you to, but you know, you're not listening. Most people aren't listening. They're just focused on what they're doing now, and that there's no other way. But it's a case of, like, you know, are you good with people? Are you good with talking? Are you good with communicating? You know, maybe you'd be a great presenter on a podcast. You know, that could be your new job, and bringing all these lovely people together that are, you know, serving people, and you know what you're doing, Jonathan, as well.
Here we are.
You know, so it's all different things, actually, you know, that you can actually start writing down. And then you write down, you know, what you did as a kid. So you write down all the things you enjoy now, and then you write down all the things you used to do as a kid. Did you used to build in blocks? Did you used to like cars? You know, do you want to develop a car that's going to be super amazing and, you know, be able to, I don't know, be fossil and fuel free completely, like completely good for the planet? There's no reason why you can't develop that. You know, I think a lot of the time we get bombarded so many with, no, you can't do that because you're not in that you're not in that job, you're not in that. There's no such thing as no, you know, impossible. I believe in possibilities, infinite possibilities. If you are meant to be doing that, which you are, you will find a way, or your soul will find you the way. It will always bring you to where you're meant to be. I really am a big believer of that. It brought me to where I'm meant to be, definitely. You know, like I said, I've done, as you heard, I've done many jobs, but this is the one job that I'm sticking with, that I want to do. I still want to do my property, because property is a great way of earning good money, and it's a passive income, and you don't have to do much work. But dealing with people and coaching them, that's slightly difficult, in the sense of people have got to want to work on themselves. You can't, you know, drag a horse to water and make it drink. You've got to, in yourself, decide, I want to do this, I need to develop myself, I want to get more spiritually in tune with what it is I'm meant to be here doing. And that's an individual decision. That's a consciousness awakening kind of thing. That's not just a wake up one morning and, oh, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to get myself a coach and I'm going to do that. It's a process. And I think, though, if you're wanting to change your life for the better, then what better way, though, to go through a coach, because they will help you to guide you through that. That's what I do. I help you to discover what it is your purpose is. I mean, one guy in the group that actually we've got in the group is called the Thrive Collective. And he said, I really don't know what I want to do, Lisa. I really don't know what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, don't worry. Just be patient. You'll discover it in this group. Because all the things that we're covering, we're helping you to connect with you on a deeper level. And actually, I asked him the questions. Instead of him writing them down, I said, right, what do you enjoy doing most? He said, well, I love exercise and I love going out. And I've been doing loads since since the pandemic, and I've been going out. And he said, and I've wanted to do a triathlon and stuff like that. I said, great. He said, but I used to be an addict, and I want to help people that I'm now no longer an addict. So I want to now help people with exercise, with maybe doing triathlons, get them exercising and help them with their mindset, because I've done it. There you go. There's your purpose. And sometimes the bad things that happen to us in our lives, the down parts of our lives, or the parts where you might feel that you failed, are not failures. They're just teaching you stuff. They're just teaching you things that you can actually use to your strength. Like my depression that I had, my stress, my anxiety. I now use that as a way of helping people that are stressed, that are having depressive thoughts or whatever. I help people to get out of that. So through my anguish, through my own, I guess, terrible time that I went through, there is something amazing and beautiful that comes out of, negative things, or what we feel are negative at the time. They might be at the time, but I'm so grateful now. I know it might sound mad. I'm so grateful I had it, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't experience what I experienced, because now when people talk to me, I go, I totally relate. I totally understand where you're at, because I totally got that, because I experienced it. There's nothing like head-on experience. You know, all what we're taught in schools and stuff like that is just textbook stuff. It's regurgitating, repeating stuff that you're not going to use, to be quite honest with you, you know. And I mean, I can get on my soapbox about schools. I won't be going for another 2 hours. But I think, why don't they teach children to emotional intelligence? You know, get in touch with what they want out of life. You know, because they will know. If the earlier you get that going in them, it's in them. You've just got to open that door to them. You know, they know what they like because they're doing it as kids. You know, you might find that. I mean, I used to love playing with Barbie dolls, and I used to have conversations and stuff like that. And I used to, you know, so all of that sort of thing, as you get older, you're just doing it as an adult. You're not really, it's just adult stuff you're doing from a kid. But a lot of us get pushed into different areas where we're not feeling fulfilled, or we're just doing it because of the money, and it's not fulfilling our hearts. And you've got to do something that fulfills you. That's when you find your purpose. It fulfills you on a holistic level, on all levels, monetary, you know, in your soul, in your energy of what you want to wake up and just do every day. And if you wake up to do this purpose, but you do it for free, if you feel that, then you're in the right thing. If you feel that I would do this for nothing, which I'd coach for nothing, then I know I'm in my purpose. That's when I know I'm in my purpose. I can't do that, but you know, but I know that I'm in my purpose. I know that I'm able to, you know, I would do it for nothing. And if you feel that in your deepest heart, then you know you have reached what you are meant to be doing on this planet in this time.
Amazing. Well, you've been absolutely incredible, and it's such a nice change to what the people I've spoken to before. It gives a nice view, because obviously I was thinking about the listeners and who's going to be listening in, and obviously it's a select group of people, and it's, you know, the people. How
long have you had the podcast going?
Well, it's not even live yet. It goes live on Friday. Oh, wow. No. So I mean, the people that are listening are people like you and me, and this is what the sort of people, the things that they're dealing with. It sounds like you've gone through it and you've come out the end, and now you're teaching it, and it sounds like what you're doing is incredible. So I would urge anybody that is looking to better themselves to go speak to Lisa, because it sounds like you can do it in both business and personal life.
I can help both.
And I think that we can all get a lot from what you've spoken about and what you're doing. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
No problem at all. We'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Take care.